Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Well, we're back at it. Today we are taking a look at Warhammer 40,000 Codex Space Marines, kindly sent along as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop. Now, this is the, I would say, trimmer edition of the Space Marine Codex, and brand new for 10th edition, redistributing in a physical format all of the new, well, not new, all of the indexes, which were previously on Games Workshop's website. And as a proviso, I am not going to go through every single index in this book, because it is a shocking amount of stuff. Now, the stuff that was mothballed and led to Legends, which means the original Dreadnoughts, bits and pieces like that, are not in this book and have not been replaced. And there are a few notable changes to some of the index. Like, for instance, I noticed immediately that the venerable Firstborn Tactical Squad has been replaced, had its special rule taken away, where they no longer get to fall back and fight and shoot freely, which was kind of a cool little thing to have for your Firstborn armies back then. But, like I said, although I did look at some of the major units, particularly the Firstborn ones, because I was very interested to see what they would do with them in this book, I'm going to focus primarily on the biggest, chunkiest new aspect of this, which is the new detachment rules. And I have some commentary about that. So what we have in here, the Angels of Death, the Space Marines, the most popular army in Games Workshop's like roster of armies, is a 193-page book, of which from 124 to 193 is data sheets. A whole lot of data sheets. The introduction and the army rules are basically the second part of all of this. We have Crusade rules, roughly 25 pages of those, and then the detachments, data sheets, combat patrol showcase, and the background. So 68 pages of background, which is great, focusing on all the Firstborn Space Marine chapters, and does have some stuff in it that I really liked. Actually, and the Death Watch. I did have some stuff in here that I really liked, and is a good resource for anyone who doesn't already know the history of the Space Marines. It includes things like their equipment, like items of legend, and a short description on the difference between, of course, the Primaris Marines and the original OG Firstborn. Now, I think probably my favorite part of this book is the successor chapter part, talking about some new Space Marine chapters and or old Space Marine chapters that have crossed the Rubicon Primaris. Things like the Marauders, the Rampagers, the Brazen Claws, the Sons of Medusa, all original ones, but also some new stuff in here, like the Dark Krakens, the Dragon Spears, and the Solar Hawks. They're not like, I mean, they're not new. A lot of them have been featured in White Dwarf or our player armies from the studio and stuff like that. I just think it's cool it's in there. And then Unknown Lineage, although some of these definitely did have a known lineage at one point, I'm pretty sure. We got things like the Red Scorpions, of course, the Blood Ravens, my boys, the Mentor Legion, the Black Dragons, and they get their own little bit of history. So, yeah, so lots of like historical stuff in here. And like I said, that fully half of this book is going to be the data sheets. And the detachments. Now, the detachments are the biggest part of this, and they basically allow you to theme your army around the various different formations that a Space Marine chapter could be fighting in. The Gladius Strike Force is the ones we've already seen. The Anvil Siege Force, Ironstorm Spearhead, Firestorm Assault Force, Stormlance Task Force, the Vanguard Spearhead, and the First Company Task Force are all new in this book, of course. So, that's my first issue with these new codexes. And if you've been watching the Tyranid Codex reviews, I didn't get a physical copy of it, so I didn't review it. I did not get super excited about the return of having, well, 6 times 7 is going to be 42 new stratagems to remember. That was kind of the promise of this edition, was that you didn't have to remember all of these various stratagems and enhancements in order to know what your opponent's army did and what your army did. The Gladius Strike Force boiling it down to 6 felt really good in the beginning, but we're back to 42. Yeah, and that's really what the bulk of this review is going to be talking about, is how do those add up. And I don't know, having to memorize that was kind of the least favorite thing about the previous edition of the game. And they're basically just back, because even though you only have to remember 6 at a time, for your army, which I think is good. They've been parsed into silos, basically. If you're playing an army against me, I won't know. If I know your army can do 6 things, that's one thing. If I know your army can do 42 things divided into 6 different cubbies, that's something else. And it does basically keep the rules fairly dense as far as like amount of rules go. There is a section dedicated to combat patrol as well, which is nice. I was really hoping these combat patrols, well, I mean, having them in each codex is nice. I would love to see a book of just all the combat patrol stuff printed separately, but it's contained in here, which is nice. All I think it's like 6 pages. Yeah, 8 pages. So the unit entries, and then of course the core rules for them themselves, which I think is fine. So let's get into the Gladius Task Force. It is the one that was printed in the indexes, which we got for free. Now, as of me recording this, which is 2 days before this goes to pre-order, and I believe it's a 2-week pre-order period, I do not know what this book costs. I know that the Tyranid indexes are no longer on the GW website, and it's all locked content behind the paywall. This index may be gone when you guys are watching this on the Saturday. So I hope you downloaded it. This is the one you would have in the index if that was the case. I know the Tyranid index is gone off the website and also is not present in the app anymore either, even if you have a Warhammer Plus subscription. So the code, of course, will unlock all of that in the subscription. So first of the new detachments after the Gladius, we have the Anvil Siege Force. Its detachment role is the Shield of the Imperium. Range weapons for your Astartes models have the heavy ability. If such a weapon already has this ability, each time the attack is made with it, if they remain stationary this turn, add 1 to the wound roll. So all your Devastators get +1 to hit and wound if they're heavy, and if their weapons are heavy. And if you didn't have heavy, you get +1 to hit. So that's pretty mechanically powerful. Your enhancements, you get Indomitable Fury for a Gravis model. The first time the bearer is destroyed, on a 2+, send them back up on the battlefield with your full wounds remaining. So just, if you die, you come back fully wounded on 2+. That's kind of neat. But Gravis only, so you're Gravis Captain. A Fleet Commander for your Captain models once per battle. At the start of your shooting phase, basically call down an airstrike. Place another marker on the battlefield within 12 of the center of the first marker, then draw a straight line between them. And roll for every unit it passes over on a 3+, take D3 mortal wounds, and then both markers are removed. So you get a laser, goes bzzz, you get the Akira laser from the sky, basically. Stoic Defender, it's for your Astartes models. While the bearer's leading a unit, models in it have a Feel No Pain 6+ when they're on objective. And while that unit's battle shocked, have their objective control characteristic rounding up instead of changing it to 0. And then finally, Architect of War for an Astartes model. While the bearer is leading a unit, your ranged weapons get ignore cover. So you're basically a shooty, hard-to-kill, like, defensive army. And then you've got your 6 different stratagems. Now remember, the battle tactics are the ones that you can get, you can get to do with your abilities that aren't, your abilities that let you do things for free for your 0 CP stratagems. So 2 of these are battle tactics. That would be the Battle Drill Recall and No Threat Too Great. The rest are ploys, and that's it. And Armor of Contempt is a battle tactic as well. So for 1 CP, Armor of Contempt, when your opponent's shooting phase, just after they selected a target, or fight phase, target an Astartes unit from your army that was selected as a target, and then effect, their AP goes down by 1. So a free AP worsening. And some of these, some of these are duplicated. Like Armor of Contempt is in a bunch of these, right? So it's like, I guess I shouldn't say it's 42, but the combinations thereof can be quite high. I think it's probably 36 different stratagems that are unique. Rigid Discipline, end of the fight phase, 1 Astartes unit from your army that's within engagement range of 1 or more of your enemy units. They can make a fallback move up to 6 inches. And restriction, when making this move, your unit must end their move wholly within your deployment zone or within range of an objective marker. So basically you can like fall back to grab an objective at the end of the fight phase, or you can do it to get in your deployment zone. Not 1 step backwards, which is handy because at the end of the fight phase, if you're engaged, you wouldn't be able to shoot. This basically allows you to pull shooting units out of combat, which can be very handy for your following turn. Not 1 step back, your command phase, 1 Astartes infantry unit from your army within range of objective. Until the end of the turn, double your objective control unit if you remain stationary. No threat too great. Your shooting phase is for 2 CPs now. In your shooting phase, an Astartes unit from your army that's not yet been selected to shoot Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets a monster vehicle, reroll the wound roll. Again, mechanically powerful. Plus to hit and wound, reroll wound rolls for 2 CPs. Woo! That's pretty big. Battle Drill Recall. Total Recall. It's just your shooting phase, one unit that hasn't shot yet. And the effect is, until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models unit have sustained hits 1. If your unit remains stationary this turn, then until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack, a successful hit of 5+ scores a critical hit. And then finally, Hail of Vengeance. So basically, you're getting exploding hits on 5s for 1 CP. And finally, 2 CPs. When your opponent's shooting phase just after a unit resolves its attacks, target one Astartes unit that was had one or more models destroyed, and then effect you can shoot back as if you're shooting phase, but you must target the one that shot you. So a retaliatory shot for 2. And it's any Astartes units and vehicles can do it too. Actually, no, they couldn't because it has to have one or more models destroyed, not wounds. That's a unique thing. So vehicles can't do it. I misspoke because it wasn't wounded, it was destroyed. Unless you have a unit of vehicles, I guess. All right, so that was the Anvil Guard one. Mechanically powerful for shooting, holding objectives, and not dying. Feels like it's going to be fairly popular, especially for like power builds, Death Star-y like murder builds. Armored Wrath. Here we got our vehicle one. So once per phase, for each Adeptus Astartes unit in your army, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 damage roll for a model in that unit. You all become Custodes, or old Custodes at least. Hooray! And then Target Augury Web is your enhancement. Tech Brain models only, and again, a lot of these are going to have to do with Tech Brains. While a friendly Astartes vehicle model is within 6 of the bearer, weapons equipped by that vehicle have the lethal hits ability. The flesh is weak, Astartes model only. The bearer has the Feel No Pain 4+ ability. Adept of the Omnissiah, Tech Brain only. Once per battle round, when the saving throw is failed for a Astartes unit, a vehicle unit within 6 of the bearer, you can change the damage to 0. That's kind of cool. And then Master of Machine Wars, an aura. Astartes model only. When a friendly Astartes vehicle is within 6 of the bearer, the vehicle in the unit is eligible to shoot, even if it fell back or advanced. So, yeah, that's a cool aura. And it's all the units within 6, not wholly within 6. Just run and do it. Run around with a jump pack. Oh, that's going to be great. And so then we've got Battle Tactics or Armor of Contempt again in this one. Mercy is weakness. And again, these are kind of themed after Iron Hands. Like, you'll notice these are all like, this is the Imperial Fist one. This is an Ironstorm one. This one's going to be Iron Hands. You've got Unbowed Conviction in the command phase. 1 Astartes unit from your army that's below starting strength. In effect, until the end of the turn, you can ignore any or all modifiers to its characteristics or any test it makes excluding saving throws, so no penalties to hit or wound. Armor of Contempt, same as Mercy's weakness. When you're shooting or fight phase, 1 Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight, and the effect is until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit that's below starting strength, that attack gets sustained hits 1, and if the attacking model is a vehicle, it crits on 5s. So basically, gunning down people you've already hurt. Way to go, Iron Hands. You're the nice guy. We're the heroes, right? Yeah, just shoot the people while they're running away. If their backs are turned, they're easier to hit. Vengeful Animus. This is Astartes vehicle, model from army with the Deadly Demise ability, and it's destroyed. Basically, that vehicle model, you can use stratagem on that model even though it was just destroyed. And then don't roll a d6, you blow up automatically. So 1 CP to blow up automatically. Ancient Fury, in your command phase, 1 Walker model from your army. Until your next command phase, improve the model's move, toughness, save, leadership, and objective control by 1, and add 1 to hit rolls. Cool. Make your dreads awesome. And then Power the Machine Spirit for 1 CP. When your opponent's shooting phase just after targeted unit has resolved, an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. And 1 Astartes vehicle unit from your army that was reduced to below half strength as a result of a unit shooting attacks. So not models destroyed. So this one does work on vehicles because they have a half strength when their wounds go below half now, which is different from having a model destroyed. And the effect is you can choose if you're shooting phase, but have to target that unit. So there's our Iron Hands, the Ironstorm Spearhead. The Firestorm Assault Force. So now we're talking about some Salamandres. Their close range eradication detachment rule. Ranged weapons equipped by Astartes models from your army have the assault ability, and each time an attack made with a weapon targets a unit within 12, add 1 to its strength. So now you can assault with your sweet, sweet flamethrowers and get +1 strength to them. Now their enhancements are not, I don't know. They're basically salamanders. Champion of Humanity, Tacticus model only. While the bear is leading a unit, models in that unit can ignore any roll modifiers or characteristics and or any roll or test made for them. Now, what's a Tacticus model? Tacticus models, I think, are going to be your Adrax Egatone, and Vulcan Heston does not get that. So Adrax gets it. Are your captains going to have that? Any old captains? Because the question is that even available to things that aren't going to be... Yeah, just the captain. A basic captain has Tacticus. There you go. So Adrax has that, and so does a captain. So any chapter can do it by having that captain, but that captain can't be in Gravis armor, or Phobos armor, or Terminator armor. Oh no, the jump back one does have it. Well, that's funny. And so do the lieutenants. Okay, cool. Weird that they don't give it to the other ones. I guess Tacticus just means that like you're not wearing some kind of specialist gear. Yeah, looks like if you're not wearing specialist gear, so like Gravis or whatever, and you're a captain or lieutenant, then you can perform this. All right. While the bear is leading a unit, that unit or the modifiers to characteristics. War-tempered artifice, so infantry models only, add 3 to the strength characteristic of the bear's melee weapons. Holy crap. That's so let's just parse that for a second. How about a strength 11 plasma pistol? Oh no, it's not melee. Melee weapons, a strength 11 power fist, or a Gravis guy. Your relic chainsword can be strength 7. Your relic fist can be strength 11. Your relic blade can be strength 8. That's pretty cool. Forged in battle, Adeptus Astartes model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, once per turn after making a hit roll or a saving roll for a model in that unit, you can change the result of the roll to a 6. And then Adamantine Mantle. Astartes model only. Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. If that attack is made with a melt or a torrent weapon, change the damage to attack to 1 instead. Because it just doesn't care about fire. It likes it hot. And then we got some sort of like reprints here again. We've got Armor of Contempt, same as. Your other battle tactics, Crucible of Battle. In the shooting or fight phase, target a Astartes infantry unit from your army that has not shot or fought. And the effect until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible unit within 6, add 1 to the wound roll. So +1 to wound basically when you're always in melee, and if you get within 6 to shoot, then +1 to wound. Rapid Embarkation, this is a ploy. End of the fight phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes transport unit from your army that has no models embarked in it, and 1 infantry unit within 6. You embark, and the restriction, you cannot target an enemy unit that's in engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and you cannot normally embark within a transport or that disembarks from a transport this turn. So you can get in at the end of your fight phase if you're basically didn't get out last turn. And then Immolation Protocols, your shooting phase, 1 unit that has not been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, torrent weapons gain devastating wounds. So again, not mortal wounds, the new devastating wounds. It's 2 CPs. But torrent weapons with devastating wounds is pretty bananas. And then Onslaught of Fire, especially if you Oath of the Moment them and fish for 6s. Onslaught of Fire, your shooting phase, 1 Astartes unit from your army that's disembarked from a transport this turn and has not yet been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible unit within 12, add 1 to the hit roll. If 1 or more enemy units was destroyed as a result of this, that destroyed units must make a battle shock test no matter what. And then Burning Vengeance for 1 CP, this is also a battle tactic. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit resolved its attacks, 1 transport unit from your army that was selected as a target, and 1 unit embarked in that transport can disembark as if it was your movement phase and then shoot immediately. But let's target that unit. So basically you can dump out of a transport and then shoot the person that just shot your transport. It's pretty cool. All right, the bike squads. Stormlance Task Force, Lightning Assault. This one is units from your army are eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced or fell back, just period. You don't get that many bikes, though, in this book anymore, including the regular old bikes. Now it's all just Outriders. So your enhancements are Fury of the Storm for a mounted model only. Improve the strength and armor penetration characteristic of the bear's melee weapons by 1 each time the bear makes a charge move until the end of the turn. Improve the strength and armor penetration of its melee weapons by 2 instead. Portents of Wisdom, Astartes model only. While the bear is leading a unit, you can reroll advance rolls. Fainting Withdrawal, Astartes unit. When the bear is leading a unit, it's eligible to shoot in a turn that it fell back, so you get to do everything in addition to the lightning assault stuff. And then Hunter's Instincts, Astartes mounted model only. If the bear is units in a strategic reserve, both for the purpose of setting up the battlefield, treat the current battle round numbers being 1 higher than it actually is. And then you get Armor of Contempt, just like everybody does. It seems like everybody gets these, so it means that really there's 30 new, I guess, Armor of Contempt is on everybody. So 30 new stratagems in this book, if all 5 of them have it, or if all 6 of the new ones have it. Blitzing Fusillade, in your shooting phase, 1 unit that has not selected to shoot yet, and then effect. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped with models in that unit that have the assault ability. If such a weapon already has this ability, it gets sustained hits 1 as well. Full Throttle for 2 CPs, and that was a battle tactics. You can do that one for free. It's a War Gear stratagem. When your movement phase, 1 Astartes mounted or Astartes vehicle unit, excluding walkers from your army. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advanced, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, just add 6 or 9 if they're mounted. And then Shock Assault, your charge phase. 1 Astartes mounted unit from your army that has not declared to charge this phase. Until the end of the turn, you can reroll charge rolls for the unit, and it gets the Lance ability on its melee weapons. And then Ride Hard, Ride Fast, also a battle tactic. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after the enemy unit selected its targets. 1 Astartes mounted or fly unit from your army that was selected as the target has to be the target of this. And until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets a unit, you're -1 to hit and wound. So basically, you get to it's kind of like the old Jink rule for Ravenwing. Wind Swift Evasion. This is a ploy. When your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, and you can target an Astartes unit within 9 of them, make a normal move up to 6. You can't select this if you're within engagement range. So basically, you get to do the AOS redeploy. All right, we're into the Vanguard Spearhead, which is, I think, the second to last one. Yeah, it is. They're the Shadow Masters. Each time a ranged attack targets an enemy Astartes unit from your army. If you're over 12, you're -1 to hit and benefit from cover. And then you get 4 enhancements. Blade Driven Deep, so this is your Raven Guard / Phobos one. It's infantry only. You get the Infiltrator's ability while you're leading a unit. And then Ghost Weave Cloak, you get Stealth and Lone Operative. Execute and Redeploy. Phobos models only in your shooting phase after the bear's unit has shot. If this is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6. If it does, until the end of the turn, that unit's not eligible to declare a charge. This cannot allow the bear's unit to move more than once in your shooting phase. And then finally, the last one's Phobos only as well. Once per battle, this is Shadow War Veteran. After your opponents use a stratagem, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, or the battle rather, increase the stratagem's cost by your opponent by 1. So that's the one that is going to be restricted by the new, the new Kalidas rule in the balanced data slate. As far as your strats, you get Armor of Contempt and then a Deadly Prize. It's a War Gear stratagem. It's 1 CP and the start of the command phase. 1 infantry or mounted unit from your army that's within range of objective marker you control as the target. And the effect is you've sabotaged it, just like the Beastie Boys. And remains under your control even if you have no models left near it. While an objective marker is sabotaged under your control, each time an enemy unit ends within normal, advance, fallback, or charge move, on a 2+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So they have to, you basically, it will blow up because you've put a bomb on it. 2 CPs for Surgical Strike. I actually really like that ability. It's very thematic. In the fight phase, the target 1 Astartes infantry unit for your army that hasn't selected to shoot or fight yet this turn. They gain precision. And then Strike from the Shadows for 1. This is a battle tactic. In your shooting phase, someone who hasn't shot yet gets picked, and then the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model that unit makes a ranged attack against an enemy unit more than 12 away, their ballistical and AP goes up by 1. If 1 or more enemy models is destroyed, they have to make a battle shock test, because you're basically like sniping from the shadows. And then a Calculated Feint. This is when your opponent's charge phase just after they've declared a charge. One infantry unit that was the target of the charge. They can move up to D6 inches or 6 if they're a Phobos or Scout Squad. New plastic scouts. And you can't select enemy units within engagement range that are already. So like you can't fall back out of combat if you're already in combat. So you can basically make it harder to charge. And then Guerrilla Tactics. It is a strategic ploy. It's in your opponent's fight phase up to 2 Phobos and or Scout Squads or one other Astraeus infantry unit and remove them from the battlefield and place them in strategic reserve. Each unit has to already be more than 3 away from enemy models. Basically, you can just disappear for 1 CP. If you have 2 Phobos or Scout Squads, just disappear and go into reserve, or any other unit, but it has to be infantry. So that one's neat. And then last but not least, the first company task force. They get deployed against extremis level threats. Once per battle in your command phase, you can use this ability. If you do until the start of your next command phase, each time a model from your army makes an oath of the moment attack, you can reroll the wound roll as well. So basically, everybody gets the Terminator rule that was in the base Terminator stuff. You get enhancements, the Imperium Sword. This is evocative of the Combat Patrol. Add one of the attacks characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons, and once per battle, at the start of the phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does so, add one to its attacks of all the bearer's unit that's leading as well. Fear Made manifests as an aura. While an enemy unit's within 6 of the bearer, each time it fails a battle shock test, one model in that unit is destroyed, chosen by its controlling player, but this excludes monsters and vehicles. Once per battle, when such an enemy unit fails a battle shock test, you can choose D3 models to be destroyed in this way instead. Basically, you're scary. And then Rights of War. Astraeus Terminator model only. Improve the obsec of its bearer by 1. And then once per battle, you can use this enhancement. If it does so, add one to the obsec of all the models in its unit as well. And then finally, Iron Resolve for Terminator, 5+ feel no pain. And once per battle, after the bearer's unit selected as the target of one or more attacks, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does so until the end of the phase, model in this bearer's unit have the Field of Pain 5+ ability as well. So basically, you just jack yourself up. You get some Armor of Contempt. Here's the chapter. Now, this one's in your shooting or fight phase. Select a Terminator, Blade Guard veteran, Stern Guard veteran, or Vanguard veteran unit, and they can shoot that hasn't shot or fight yet until the end of the phase. Each time a model in the unit makes an attack, add one to the hit roll. And if it's below half, add one to the wound roll as well. Terrifying Proficiency in your fight phase. Again, pick like a veteran squad that has made a charge move and destroyed one or more enemy models this phase. In your opponent's next command phase, each time a unit within 6 of your unit must take a battle shock test. So everybody makes a battle shock test within 6 of them. If the unit taking the test is below half strength, subtract 1 from that test. Enemy units affected by stratagem do not need to take any other battle shock tests in the same phase. So basically, you force battle shock tests that because you killed someone and charged in the same turn because everyone's like, oh my god, the pain train's coming. And then Duty and Honor for 1 CP. In your movement phase, 1, again, veteran squad, so Terminators, Blade Guards, Stern Guards, or Vanguards. And they have to be within range of objective marker that you control. And that objective marker remains under your control even if you leave it. An Orbital Teleportarium for 1 CP. When your opponent's fight phase, you get Terminators for this one. Remove your unit from the battlefield and place it in the strategic reserves. It will arrive next turn using its Deep Strike ability, and you can't select someone in engagement range. And then finally, Legendary Fortitude. Your opponent's charge phase, just after a unit ends a charge move. 1 Terminator, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, or Vanguard veteran squad that's in engagement range of that enemy unit can be targeted, and until the end of the turn, you're -1 damage against them. To a minimum of 0, but you're -1 damage against that Terminator squad unit or other Vanguard. So you get tougher, you can redeploy, you can hold objectives, you can force battle shock tests, and you can get +1 to hit and wound potentially against anybody, not just the people that you're extremis level threatening. Very cool. I mean, new Terminator squads, new Vanguards, new guys with jump packs. It's cool. I think these two are very cool because they come into the new unit releases. And that's it for the new detachments. Now, this won't change anything to do with like the specialty chapter ones. So for instance, the Sons of Sanguinius and the Unforgiven Task Force, they're not replaced by this. I'd imagine their indexes will actually stay up to when this book comes out. And then we're into the remaining stuff, such as the data sheets. But I'll quickly have a look at not the Combat Patrol, where are you? Why can I not find you? The Crusade rules, 194. Oh, they come after, sorry. All right, so you get an Oath Sworn campaign. You basically swear an oath to do something and gain honor for doing it, which I think is pretty cool. So you're trying to get to your honor points, and your honor points will allow you to unlock additional stuff and get requisitions and agendas for doing so. To begin, you select an Oath Sworn campaign from those presented in the following pages. They last for 3 battles, and each one has a unique bonus or agenda and requisition for each one that you do. If you wish to abandon them, you can do so at any time. Your Crusade force can only participate in 1 Oath Sworn campaign at a time. Each time you win a battle, your Crusade force gains honor points depending on the battle size. So an incursion gives you 2, a strike force gives you 3, and an onslaught gives you 5. And you play 3 games in a row. So for instance, an unflinching bulwark, you're defending. A precision strike, you're trying to kill someone specific. The Forging of Legends, which is like your heroes trying to do stuff, and then your chapter command is what you can buy for these honor points. Like a chapter master for your captain. You can become a master of the Codex or a master of combat with your battle honors. Your chief apothecary, your apothecary can spend 10 honor points on doing stuff. And these are all your requisitions for your honor points, basically, is your characters, your heroes become better. And then you get your assignments become promoted, you get different battle traits like marksman's honor, service studs. This one's fairly extensive, which I like. And then cool Crusade relics like Artifact, the Adamantine Cuirass, the Paragon Blade, the Standard of Righteous Hatred. And then these are your Crusade badges that you can get to, which is kind of cool. Your campaign badges that you can actually fill out and then print out and stuff too for your different battle numbers. And then points, and of course these are not going to be current because they will have already been replaced probably by the current data slate update. And then of course, yeah, your download. So that's Codex Space Marines. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all the data slates because there's just too damn many of them, and honestly, the smarter people than me will go through them. So what do you get in here? Well, you get new ways to play the army, which I think is cool, and theme the army, theme your collection. I really like that. I like that in replacement for having specific chapter rules, any chapter you make, it's just less complicated. Any chapter can now play to a theme by picking that detachment, having those 6 stratagems, and having those 6 or 4 enhancements in a detachment rule. That's nice and neat. And in like a vacuum, in their silos, it's a really nice, clean way of doing stuff. I like that it's simplified, but not simple, in that I can have the collection I want and then play with it on the table. It's still a lot. Now, this is going to be the most exaggerated example of it being a lot because it's Space Marines. I don't think every army is going to have that many detachments. In fact, I don't think the Tyranid one did. I think it had 6 different detachment styles. But it's still a lot to remember. And if they keep pushing that, it's going to make the game very top-heavy still. Now, the nice thing is it's all in one book. There's lots of, well, there's the crossover of armor and contempt of all of them, so it's a bit easier for your opponent to remember. But it's still a lot of information, and you're going to want to sit down with your opponent probably before each game and explain, well, I'm playing this detachment style, and these are the 5 things it can do. It's less to remember. I do think the mental load has been reduced drastically, which is still good. But as far as your opponent knowing what your stuff can do, it's going to be a lot. This probably won't be terrible in the microcosm of like, I play this army, you play that army. I'm only gonna have to memorize my opponent's 1 codex. So that's probably okay. In the like keeping up with the Joneses mentality of like needing to know what every single army does all the time, that's still kind of an exaggerated mental load for people going to play Strangers at Gaming Nights and play in tournaments. And yeah, and seeing it back isn't, I don't know, I'm not super excited about it, to be honest with you. But that only really affects me from the point of view of the fact that when people come to visit the studio that I don't know, I'm learning on the fly potentially what their collection does. For my friends who play all the time, and I play all the time, it's not going to be such a big deal. So it's kind of a halfway point between simplified and simple and reduced mental load of where it was at the launch of 10th and what's in this book. It does expand those options quite a bit, and by virtue of doing so, it's going to expand kind of what you have to remember and what potentially is out there. But it's not so bad. I think that it's creating too much artificial sort of like weight on the game system as a whole. Now, that's the first thing. Second thing, and I've talked about this before with my discussion with Chris from Modes of War, the codes thing's a problem. If this book goes out of stock, this is Games Workshop's most popular army. I'm sure they've printed a gajillion copies. If this book goes out of stock though, and they do the same thing they did with the Tyranid release, where it locks all the content and the indexes behind a paywall, even for Warhammer Plus subscribers, you've created a problem where the only access to the rules that you have for these guys is like in the build instructions, and there it is, not the complete rules, and it does not match the description of what the rules should look like and how they're explained in the game, in like the Warhammer 40,000 rulebook. It doesn't look the same. So that's kind of a fracture point. I really, really, really hope that the data sheets go back into the Warhammer app at some point, because if they don't, it makes this book very important, and not having this book in stock, especially for Tyranids and Space Marines who are in the starter set and are right now at this point in 10th edition the most likely thing that anyone starts playing this game playing, it makes playing the game inaccessible. So yeah, so I do hope this either stays in stock. I don't like the fact that it creates a step to knowing what stuff does. Yeah, I think it's just a bad idea. Like, yeah, if you're gonna have your app be the thing that makes it so that anybody can buy any miniatures they want and then play a game with them, I think having the detachment rules in the Codex and maybe behind a paywall is fine. Outside like the first one, the Gladius Task Force, but I think that having the data slates available, you've given the point values away for free in the balanced data slate updates, they're already there. You should probably have your data sheets be the same as they are for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, because you're creating two classes of customer at this point. Age of Sigmar has always had the data, like the War Scrolls, available for free. Warhammer 40,000 putting them back behind it, after they've basically let them out and made a big deal about letting them out, putting them back behind a paywall, it doesn't feel good. And it makes it harder for my friends that run retail shops and my friends that own independent hobby shops to sell this product easily and quickly and concisely, and for the customer to feel good about their purchase all the time, because they know that what it does is always going to be up to date in their pocket on this free new app. So yeah, that would be my one biggest comment behind this book, and I would have made the same comment if I'd been reviewing the Tyranid Codex, but obviously I didn't. I think it's good maybe I didn't, because all that stuff came out with the Tyranid Codex, and it let me be more informed, I think, probably with this one. But it doesn't mean I'm not. It doesn't mean I'm not excited to play with my Space Marines and to play 40K. It means that I have a concern about people getting into the hobby right now and having this be their first book and box set, where if someone bought Leviathan, download all the indexes, and is really excited about this book but can't get their hands on it for 6 months, are they still going to be excited 6 months from now about this book if they can't get their hands on it and all of a sudden they don't know what stuff does, or they're playing out of date, or they have a bad experience? It's preventable. It's a preventable bad experience. It's a preventable like disconnect. And I think that if it started off a way, it should probably continue that way, at least for the life of the edition, and then figure out what you're doing with it afterwards. But the code thing, I think, is going to be a problem. So there it is. Again, I don't know what this book costs, if it costs what the Tyranid Codex costs. But yeah, it may or may not go out of stock quickly, depending on how many sell. But this is a very popular army, so if you want to grab this book, I'd recommend grabbing it this weekend, or doing the pre-order. I think they're doing a 2-week pre-order, or trying to secure one, because and definitely go download the indexes so you can at least still go play your games into the future. And yeah, ensure that your collection that you're building and working on right now is something that you can enjoy on the tabletop. So thanks for Games Workshop sending this long to review. Thanks for you guys for watching. Thanks, I'm Ash. I'm Wargaming.